So one of the biggest life hacks I've ever come across is learning the difference between reacting and responding. So I want to share that trick with you guys. So in the face of any situation, positive or negative, you have two choices. You could either take in the information, evaluate the information, and then make a conscious choice or make a conscious decision on how to respond. So that's option one. Option two is to just react to the situation based off unconscious beliefs and trauma. Usually it's the fight or flight or freeze mechanism that we all sort of have built within us. Reactivity is the root of all non-masculine behavior. So neediness, a lack of confidence, indecision, inappropriate aggression, right? These are all non-masculine behavior, right? And remember, we're talking in terms of masculine and feminine energy, not male and female. So the root cause of all reactivity is essentially a sense of threat, whether it's real or not. Whether that's a threat to his ego, to his perceived sense of power. By contrast, a man who is grounded finds a way to respond. He usually takes outside input, but he isn't rattled by it, right? He's still strong at his core. So he can take external stimuli, he could take things that are happening around him, he could internalize them and then choose consciously how to respond to them, rather than just immediately reacting to the situation at hand. This man is very grounded in terms of what he wants and what he needs. He's very clear about that. And that clarity is actually what allows him to respond. Once you're sure of who you are, who you're not, and who you don't want to be, it makes it a little bit easier to familiarize yourself with the different emotions that come up when certain things happen. The reason why most men are reactive has to do with childhood traumas that they still haven't tapped into or figured out.
You feel negative emotion when you lay out a desire in the world and it doesn't manifest itself, right? So you're disappointed. Okay, so what does it mean? You didn't know how to master that place and time. So maybe you were bullied in high school, and it means you didn't know how to socialize with people properly. And now you're afraid of people. And so these thoughts are always coming back about how you were bullied in high school and how terrible that was. And it's like, why are the thoughts coming back? And the reason is that the systems that produce anxiety are regarding your inability as a threat. They're saying, there's a threat, there's a threat, there's a threat. You don't know how to deal with people. There's a threat. And it's never going to go away because it's an alarm system. It's trying to tell you about threats. And so then what you have to do, and you can do this with a therapist, is to figure out, okay, how did all that bullying come about? What, if anything, did I do to make myself vulnerable, or what situation made me vulnerable? How should I interpret that and then change my perceptions and actions so that that isn't likely to happen in the future ever again? And then that'll go away, because people think the purpose of memory is to represent the past. That's wrong. The purpose of memory is to stop you from doing the same stupid things over and over.
How do you become more responsive rather than reactive? So two things. One of them we just touched on, knowledge. You have to be self-aware. You have to be able to acknowledge your emotions, but not identify with your emotions. You have to be able to pause and notice when you're getting angry or sad or depressed or frustrated or confused. You have to be able to label these emotions, because just by labeling these emotions, you disattach from them. So at some point you realize, I am not sad, I feel sad. Those are two different things. You're not a sad person, you feel sad. You're not an angry person, you just get angry a lot. Just having that self-knowledge, just being aware, for example, just being aware that I tend to be a little bit of an asshole, or that I tend to be a little bit cold, or that I tend to be a little bit blunt, or that, when I feel like my point isn't being understood or accepted, I tend to get defensive, I tend to get aggressive. Just knowing that about myself allows me to sort of look into the future, right? And diminish the many times that I would react to a situation and then have to apologize after the fact. I can't choose what I feel, I can choose what I respond to. So if I'm angry, I can walk away until I'm not. Or if I'm angry, I can sit there and sort of wade through my feelings and figure out why. Am I angry at the situation, at the person? Does it remind me of a past situation? Is it worth me responding this way? So the first thing is knowledge. The second thing is training. So this is a physiological response. Reactivity is very hard to control without practice, because it's literally your nervous system firing on all cylinders, basically telling you that there's some sort of perceived threat or danger, even though there's not. You have to practice how to control your nervous system. First of all, working out. Obviously, when you're in the gym, you're dead tired, but you have one more rep to do. That's basically you fighting against the urge to quit. It's basically you fighting your body's impulse to react, right? You're choosing to respond. The second thing I would advise, cold showers. Once you take a hot shower for like 10 minutes or whatever, right? You take your hot shower for 15, 20 minutes, however long it takes. The last 20 to 30 seconds, turn the water as cold as possible and just stand underneath it. Everything in your body and your mind is gonna tell you, get the fuck out this cold water because it's freezing, right? But you have to train yourself to ignore that part and stay in the water. Nothing's happening to you. At worst, you get cold for a little bit, then that's it. If you want afterwards, you could turn it back to hot, or you could just get out the shower or whatever it is, right? But you're basically training yourself to not ignore your nervous system, but control it. You're learning to control your nervous system. You're learning to get familiar with some of the signs of panic and learning to calm yourself down, which is exactly what happens in those small scenarios, right? Fellas, when you go and speak to that super hot girl who's a little bit intimidating, everything in your body fires up as if this girl's a lion and she's gonna eat you, you know, or something to that effect, as if you're gonna die if this girl rejects you. It's the same sort of feeling for some reason, right? So you have to learn how to train yourself and put yourself in those situations voluntarily so that you can learn how to regain that control. Other things you can do is journaling and meditation. Journaling helps you connect and identify with your emotions. It helps you work through your traumas once you write shit out, right? Because writing is no different than thinking. Like once you write something out, that's the process of you thinking. You're just putting pen to paper. So journaling helps a lot because it helps get all these emotions out. Then meditation is self-explanatory. Meditation is hard as hell, right? Because your mind is racing, you want to get up, you want to move around. It's the same concept as a cold shower. You're exercising control over your nervous system. You're exercising control over your thoughts, over your body, right? It's not gonna be perfect at first, but the more you do it, the better you get at it. So now I wanna give you guys an example of what this would look like. So one of my favorite shows in this world is Peaky Blinders. Our main character, Tommy, played by Cillian Murphy, is negotiating with Alfie, played by Tom Hardy. What I want you to pay attention to is the difference between Alfie, AKA Tom Hardy's behavior, and his underling, the guy that's next to him. I think in the show his name is Ali, right? In this particular scene, there's an actual threat. Tommy, AKA Cillian Murphy, has told Alfie, AKA Tom Hardy, that there's a bomb, there's a grenade in the building. And if he doesn't come out, he's gonna tell his guy to blow up the grenade and the whole place is gonna blow up, including them. Check it out.
More than happy and agree if you decide over 65% of your business to me. Thank you.
65. No deal. Ollie, what'd he say?
Jesus Christ, Alfie, he tied his fucking lace. I saw him. Look, he planted a grenade. I know he did. Alfie, it's Tommy fucking Shelby.
You were behaving like a fucking child.
As you can see, Alfie was choosing to consciously respond. Even though his life was essentially being threatened, he didn't overreact. He didn't break eye contact, right? He didn't fidget. He was very firm and concrete on the scenario at hand. He was very clear about what needs to happen and what doesn't need to happen. So he started negotiating. His underling, Ali, who he smacked and said, stop acting like a child, he's completely reactive, right? His own concern, his main concern is the threat to his life. He's scared, he's fidgety. His responses are showing lack of power, lack of confidence, lack of control, right? So much to the point that Alfie slaps the shit out of him and tells him to go sit in the corner like a little boy. So this is a perfect example of response versus react.